Recording in progress.
Good morning. Today is Monday, November 4th, and this is your community briefing. I'm Lillian Govis, Director of Communications and Public Engagement for Buncombe County. Today, we'll be joined by Corrine Duncan, Director of Elections, who will give us an update on our record-breaking early voting turnout and get us set for Election Day tomorrow. We'll also hear from Clay Chandler and the City of Asheville with water and service updates, and City Manager Deborah Campbell and Jess Foster with City of Asheville Solid Waste. We have John Mills from FEMA here to provide us some updates, and then we'll wrap things up with Dave Alberg and our National Park Service, who just might give us a little good Blue Ridge Parkway news. But first, as we always do, County Manager Avril Pender.
Good morning. Today and tomorrow, Lace Pro will operate normal routes and household trash would operate normal routes for household trash and recycling. Residents should use the transfer station at 190 Hominy Creek Road in Asheville or the landfill at 85 Panther Branch Road in Alexandra for household bag trash if Lace Pro still can't get to you. On Wednesday, Lace Pro would operate normal routes for household trash and recycling in accessible locations in Swannanoa. This Pro would also be at Hearts with Hands, 850 Warren Wilson Road, at their Circle Drive closest to Owen Park from 8:30 to 3:30 Wednesday for household bag trash drop-off only. The transfer station is open Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. and on Saturday from 8 till 1. The landfill is operating 6 a.m. until 4:30, Monday through Friday, and Saturday, 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Normal fees apply at both locations. At the same time, we're working on debris collection. Remember, debris collection isn't like trash pickup. There wouldn't be just one day for collections. It's going to take many, many passes for our trucks to get there. We are seeing a 300% increase in the use at our landfill. So we can't stress enough how important it is for you to use our debris contractors. They will help process this debris and take it to the appropriate locations so that it does not end up in our landfill, which, as you know, has limited capacity. So far, our debris haulers collected over 50,000 cubic yards. For perspective, every cubic yard is about the size of a full-size mattress. So you can imagine how much space all that debris takes. In Asheville, they are running 19 trucks, and in the county, they are running 34 grapple trucks, prioritizing Swannanoa, Julian Shoals, and Lower Brush Creek in the southern part of the county, Black Mountain, and Barnersville. The city will provide more information about debris pickup in Asheville. Remember, our community care stations are open daily from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with showers, laundries, and more. All community care stations now have ADA accessible showers and bathrooms, and laundry drop-off and pickup is available at the Swannanoa Ingalls. AC Reynolds High School Care Station would open at 7 p.m. tomorrow, it will close. The AC Reynolds High School Care Station will close at 7 p.m. tomorrow and move to the Fairview Ingalls right down the road at 225 Charlotte Highway with no interruption in service. You'll still be able to wash clothes, showers, and get potable water and more. The other locations are At Home Store, Parking Lot, Big Lots in Brook Mall, Buncombe County Sports Park, Bethel United Methodist Church, Swannanoa Ingalls, Owen Pool, and Morgan Hill Baptist Church. Buncombe County registered nurses and a mobile team are offering free Tdap, COVID, flu, and Hep A vaccines at the following community care sites: Swannanoa Ingalls, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from noon to 6 p.m., and Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 1 p.m. Buncombe County Sports Park, Wednesdays and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Big Lots Innsbrook Mall, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, noon till 6. An update on the water and food distribution sites. Water and meals ready to eat available at distribution sites open every day at Skylanes Bowling Alley, Black Mountain Ingalls, Swananoa Ingalls, Nineveh Crump Shiloh Community Center, Pat Square Park, Buncombe County Sports Park, and Fairview Ingalls. The One Buncombe call center at 828-250-6100 is ready to answer any questions with Hurricane Helene. They are ready to answer any calls with Hurricane Helene questions Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This number again is 828-250-6100. Last week, we told you about Hearts with Hands is offering Thanksgiving meals. But we also want to make sure you know Evelyn Charities is also doing a Thanksgiving meal distribution on November 27. 800 families can sign up to receive a turkey and a box of sides in a drive-through format. You can now register at evelyncharities.org. Evelyn Charities will also post signups for the annual St. Nicholas Toy Store, where parents and guardians can sign up to shop for free for new and unwrapped toys, books, etc. for holiday gifts. The Tootsie, the Took Chai, am I getting that right? How do you say that? Suchi. The Suchi Foundation is a partner of the American Red Cross, is providing emergency financial assistance to households in Buncombe County that were destroyed or severely damaged by Hurricane Helene. The assistance is in the form of debit cards. Residents whose primary homes were impacted by Hurricane Helene can apply by November 8th. Just use your phone to scan the QR code on the screen. We would also put this link in the chat. And as tomorrow is election day, we will not have a community briefing at 11 a.m., but we will have several live briefings on our Facebook page during election day with voter counts. Speaking of elections, we'll turn this over to Corinne Duncan to share the update for election day.
Thank you, April. Good morning. I'm Corinne Duncan, Director of Elections for Buncombe County. Early voting has ended in record turnout, with just over 116,000 voters casting their ballot. That surpasses 2020 early voting numbers, which were a record in themselves, by 10,000 voters. When you add in absentee by mail returns so far, we're already at almost 50% turnout, 58% turnout in Buncombe County. I'm in awe that even amid this storm recovery, as we grieve what we won't get back, and as we gather ourselves to make a plan to move forward, that voting remains a priority. And this is the case across the mountains. You are showing up even when it's difficult. You're giving Western North Carolina a voice. Tomorrow is election day for the 2024 presidential election. My office has been preparing for this day for more than a year. Staff, board members, poll workers, and so many others have put in countless hours while suffering the hurricane alongside you. Remember, we're voters too, to make sure that this day provides you with both convenient and lawful voting. So tip your hat to poll workers when you vote tomorrow. You might know some of them. They're your neighbors and your friends. Polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Election day can be busy, and I hope it is. As long as you're in line by 7:30, you'll be able to vote. You'll need to bring your photo ID, go to your assigned voting location. And if you don't know where that is, call us, visit our website, or stop by our office and we'll assist you. If you don't have a photo ID, we know many were lost in the storm, you can vote provisionally and we'll give you your options to make that count. Remember, due to storm damage or use for emergency operations, 17 of our 80 early voting locations have temporarily changed. They're either combined with a nearby location or are a new location. Last Monday, we sent cards to those of you with changes, so you should have one if you're in this group. You can also find a list of changes on our website. And as always, you can call us or stop by and see us for help. We did make one error in our mailing. For voters in precinct 66.1, your temporary voting location is at Warren Wilson College. That's the Kittredge Theater. That's at 124 Lower College Road. Your mailer has the correct place name, but we got the address wrong. Most of you have already voted, but we still apologize for making this error. Even with so much last-minute change, our goal is perfection. Please note that for all voters with location changes, if you happen to show up at your old precinct, there'll be a sign telling you where your new location is. If you're an absentee by mail voter, you need to return your ballot by Election Day. That's tomorrow, November 5th at 7:30 p.m. Unless you overnight it, it's too late to put it in the mail. So bring it by our office at 59 Woodfin Place in Asheville. A near relative is also allowed to do this for you. But remember, do not bring it to an Election Day polling location. The law switched on that, and the law no longer allows for this. However, you can choose to vote in person instead if you would like, and your absentee ballot will automatically be voided. We want to make sure that you have everything you need to vote tomorrow. So you need to be registered, you need to bring your photo ID, and you need to go to the location that's assigned to you. An excellent way to find all kinds of voter information is to use the North Carolina Voter Search tool. You can find that at buncombecounty.org/vote. Through that tool, among other things, you can check that you're registered, you can look up your voting location, and you can find your sample ballot. Your sample ballot helps you research the candidates on your specific ballot, and you're welcome to bring it with you to the polling location to help you vote faster. We look forward to seeing you out all across the mountains tomorrow. As a reminder, on election night, preliminary results will be released on our website beginning at 7:30. We'll start by posting the absentee by mail results. Next, you'll see early voting numbers populate, and this might take an hour or two because we have to start those at 7:30. We can't pre-process those. And then you'll start seeing results from Election Day populate as they come in from the precincts. We estimate that all three of these categories, which will be the vast majority of results, will be in by 10 or 11 p.m. Again, remember that these results are preliminary. After Election Day, we process any of the absentee by mail ballots that we receive on Election Day and any provisional ballots. We also audit during this period. Once all of this is complete, our board will come together on November 15th. They'll review the audit and they'll publicly certify the election. This is what makes Buncombe County's votes official. These official results will then be submitted to the State Board of Elections to be combined with the rest of North Carolina. So that's it for today. As always, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We are Election Services at 59 Woodfin Place in Asheville. Our phone number is 828-250-4200. You can email us at elections@buncombecounty.org. And our website with all the information you need is buncombecounty.org/vote. So thank you. See you at the polls. Happy voting.
Great. Next, we will hear from Deborah Campbell, Asheville City Manager.
Thank you, Lillian. Good morning. As was noted, my name is Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the City Manager of Asheville. As usual, I want to start by thanking everyone in the community for your continued support and your ongoing efforts to help our community recover from this devastating storm. We are on day 40 of our emergency response and recovery efforts. As I have previously shared with you, the city is focused on 6 major priority areas: addressing the basic needs of our community with a focus on our most vulnerable populations and the broader community, restoring water service, community safety and security, debris collection, temporary housing, and economic recovery and financial assistance. Today, my team and I will provide an update on water distribution and mill sites, share details on additional city services that have or will be resumed. As usual, I will provide those updates. And I'm sure you are all waiting to hear from Clay Chandler, our Public Information Officer with our Water Resources Department, on the progress being made to address water turbidity issues in the North Fork Reservoir. We will also have an update from Jess Foster, our Sanitation Manager with our Public Works Department, to provide an update on the status of our debris removal efforts. We'll start off with an update from Clay with our Water Resources Department.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. I don't have any visual aids today, so I hope y'all can forgive me for that. Do have a lot of information. So as we covered last week, we completed the second round of in-reservoir treatment at North Fork. And as of early this morning, or we monitored those results over the weekend, and as of early this morning, turbidity had fallen below 19. That is very, very good progress. And, you know, obviously this isn't working as quickly as everyone would like, but it does appear the second round of treatment was considerably more effective than the first round was. You can probably attribute that to the curtains. You can probably attribute that to more favorable weather conditions on day of application. Whatever you can attribute to, we're happy about it. Final decision has not been made, but it is very, very likely that we will conduct a third round of in-reservoir treatment beginning early next week. So that's the latest with the in-reservoir treatment process. Some good news is Water Resources now has a second option at its disposal for treating the turbid water at North Fork Reservoir. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is in the early stages of implementing an alternative treatment project that could possibly, and I want to stress, possibly be operational very late November, very early December. And that's based on information the Corps of Engineers has given us. I would like to stress again that timeline. This is a construction project, and so it will be susceptible to things that are out of our control, like weather, procurement schedules, and all of that. But we are very, very hopeful and optimistic that by early December, based on the information that we have right now, that system will be operational. And this is going to rely on what's called mobile treatment units. And those will be staged out at North Fork in a clearing above the dam. Exact number and precise layout is still being determined. The size of these things kind of varies. They're generally shaped like a shipping container, so they're rectangular in shape. Some of them are 30 feet long. Some of them are 50 to 60 feet long. So based on the size of these things, that will determine exactly how many will be set up out at North Fork. We will pursue this option concurrently with the in-reservoir treatment process. And we're absolutely not giving up on that, not by any means. And it's possible that the in-reservoir treatment process clears up the lake enough for us to start treating water on a very large scale before the Corps of Engineers system is even operational. The Corps of Engineers Alternative Treatment Project is designed to be effective within a relatively small footprint, like the one that's available at North Fork. There's not a lot of flat ground out at North Fork. It's very elevated. There are pretty significant elevation changes. Capacity would be engineered to reach approximately 25 million gallons of water per day. That's enough to keep the system pressurized and provide flushing capacity. And the flushing part of this is going to be very, very important. I've mentioned before, once we start pushing nothing but potable water into the system, we're going to have to completely replace the water in the tanks and our main transmission and auxiliary transmission lines. And that progress will take a couple of weeks. I think the latest timeline we have for that is 2.5 to 3 weeks. So even though we start pushing potable water, that does not mean that the boil water notice will be lifted immediately. We will have to, again, flush the system and perform some extensive back-end testing before we can lift that boil water notice. Now, the planning for the Corps of Engineer project, which I've mentioned, they've been working for several weeks now. The planning for that project began on October the 1st, when Water Resources first engaged the Corps of Engineers to pursue alternative treatment options for North Fork. So from planning to the early stages of execution, that process took about 30 days. Next steps, the Corps of Engineers is in the process of procuring materials, equipment, and personnel. Over the next couple of weeks, equipment, materials, and personnel will begin arriving at North Fork for construction and setup. Once construction and setup begins, the contract's terms will require the contractor who's going to do all this work to work for 24 hours a day until the system is operational. So we're trying our best to move this process along as quickly as possible. There are some regulatory requirements that come along with this. So coordination with EPA, North Carolina DEQ will be required. This system will be adjacent to forested areas. So a fire safety plan is going to be required from the contractor. There will be large volumes of sludge produced because of the extremely high turbidity of the water. So that could require trucking of excess sludge produced by this process. We can use existing sludge lagoons at North Fork. So we do have some capacity there, but it's very likely that our existing capacity will be exceeded and there will be some sludge that would have to be trucked off site. EPA will provide guidance throughout this, and the state DEQ will have to sign off on this before it becomes operational. So again, there's another variable that's completely out of our control, the regulatory part of it. I want to emphasize again, it is important to note that the in-reservoir treatment process could clear up the reservoir before the Corps of Engineers project is operational. However, to maximize redundancy, we are going to pursue the Corps of Engineers project regardless, and keeping that system in place until we have the upgraded filters that we've been seeking is a possibility that we're going to pursue. Whether or not we're able to do that is not totally up to us, but if we have our preference, we certainly will. One more note. I've talked to several people today and over the weekend who have asked why the water in their taps seems to be clearing up. There's a reason for that. Last Wednesday, North Fork started producing water through our existing filtration and treatment process at a reduced capacity. So normally North Fork pushes between 20 and 25 million gallons a day into the system. Right now, we're putting between 10 and 15 millions of gallons a day of treated water into the system. So if you've noticed your water clearing up, that's why. Now, it's also very important to note, and there seems like there's a caveat with everything that I say, that the continuation of that process is highly dependent on the North Fork Reservoir continuing to clear up. So we don't need like a windstorm. We don't need a thunderstorm. We don't need very heavy rainfall that could lead to some runoff and drive that turbidity number back up. But we have had some good things happen the past week or week and a half that we're very, very excited about. We still have a lot of work to do, a lot of ground to cover. So unfortunately, we cannot lift the boil water notice yet. We would love to, but we're just not to that point. That's it for me. I know you'll have some questions afterward, and I'm going to turn it over to Jess Foster.
Thank you, Clay. Again, I'm Jess Foster with the City of Asheville Public Works Sanitation Division. I'm going to talk about some debris today. First, I'm going to start off with our temporary debris sites. As of today, the city has permitted 5 sites for temporary debris management. Those sites being Inca Commerce Park, 65 Ford Street, and Roger Farmer Park in West Asheville, and the Municipal Golf Course, Front 9, and Hardesty Lane, both in East Asheville. While all of these sites have been permitted, I'd like to share a little more about a few of the sites. The Roger Farmer Park site will now not be used for debris management. The sites at 65 Ford Street and the Front 9 of the Municipal Golf Course will only be used as a last resort. At this point in time, there are no plans to bring new debris to these sites, and we remain hopeful that we will continue, that will continue to be the case. As I shared before, the construction and demolition debris on site at 65 Ford Street will be removed. The city's debris collection contractor has permitted an additional debris site at Julian Shoals in Arden. The contractor is currently hauling debris to the Inca and Julian Shoals sites and will begin hauling debris to the newly permitted Hardesty Lane site in East Asheville this week. The Hardesty Lane site is permitted to stage all forms of debris, including vegetative, construction and demolition debris, as well as appliances, electronics, and household hazardous waste. Again, it is important to note that household hazardous waste is not the same as toxic hazardous waste, and toxic hazardous waste will not be processed at any temporary debris sites. It is also important to clarify that only the contractor can haul debris to these sites. Residents and businesses cannot bring debris to temporary debris sites and should leave material at the curb for collection. We appreciate your patience as debris removal ramps up. So here is a map of the storm debris removal zones that the contractor will be working on in the city. And these are the zones, as you can see, these are the zones that are typically utilized as snow removal zones. And we're going to be using these same zones to communicate about storm debris collection. So zone 1 starts in West Asheville and then just kind of goes around the clock there, 1 through 8. These zones are approximate and may not reflect the exact boundaries of a community. And it is important to note that these zone numbers do not equate to priority, and the contractor will be working in multiple zones each day. Today, the contractor will have 6 grapple trucks in zones 4 and 5 in the northern part of Asheville, and 15 grapple trucks in zones 7 and 8 in the southern part of Asheville. While the work of the contractor must remain flexible in order to maximize efficiency, the city will work to provide updates as a more regular schedule is operationalized. Now I'd like to provide an update on the city's debris contractor. Initially, the city engaged a private contractor to begin debris removal from critical infrastructure and roadways immediately following the storm. During this time, the city also submitted a request to FEMA to engage the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to assist with debris removal. FEMA has now approved the city's request for public assistance to utilize the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for debris removal. And this past Friday afternoon, the Corps finalized contract terms with their debris collection contractor, Ashbrit, and Ashbrit deployed 15 trucks in the city on Saturday and 19 trucks in the city on Sunday for debris collection. Additional collection trucks will be added each day. The initial mission for Ashbrit is for debris removal from the right-of-way. Again, we encourage residents and businesses to continue to push your debris to the right-of-way for collection and to separate that debris into proper categories. Debris information and regular debris collection updates can be found on the city's website at asheville.nc.gov/Helene. And now I'll hand it back over to City Manager Deborah Campbell. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess. I'm going to start with comments on an update on water and meal distribution. Water distribution sites and community care stations remain in operation. County Manager Pender listed them, but I will repeat those in the city of Asheville. We are maintaining distribution sites from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Pack Square Park, 70 Court Plaza, Skylanes Bowling Alley, 1477 Patton Avenue, Linwood Shiloh Community Center, 121 Shiloh Road. And just a note that the Shiloh location has bottled and cartons of water and MREs, meals ready to eat, but no bulk water. Community care stations and distribution sites are located at 980 Brevard Road in the at-home store parking lot, 85 Tunnel Road in the Innsbrook Mall parking lot. These operating hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As mentioned, both locations have ADA accessible showers and restrooms. As of this morning, our sites have distributed more than 2 million bottles and 1 liter cartons of drinking water, 21,374 gallon jugs of potable water, 231,958 gallons of non-potable water, 171,886 meals ready to eat, and 1,811 blankets for warmth. All of the city's park and recreation community centers will open on this Wednesday, November 6th. This means buildings and the outdoor spaces surrounding them, including playgrounds, picnic areas, sports fields, and plazas, will also be open. While the facilities are reopening, most regularly scheduled programming, however, and events at community centers are on hold. Please check with each individual center for more information on organized activities. Parks and recreation after-school programs hosted at community centers began meeting indoors on October 28th and will continue to do so for children enrolled in after-school programming. More than half of the parks within the city of Asheville system are now open. It is important for the community to know that closed parks are not safe and only authorized staff are allowed to enter. More information on parks and programming can be found at asheville.nc.gov/parks. Just a few things related to transportation. ART bus service will continue to be free of charge until further notice. A shuttle service is still being provided between the WNC Ag Center and American Red Cross shelters. Parking is currently free in all city garages and parking spaces. However, if you require long-term parking, please use one of the city garages to help keep street meter parking available for short-term visitors. Also, we have resumed parking enforcement specifically for loading zones and handicap parking spaces. Please don't park or block loading zones. You will be told or ticketed. We also ask that you do not park in accessible spaces without an authorized Americans with Disability Act placard or sticker. As usual, unauthorized vehicles will be ticketed. So in closing, and as usual, I'd like to extend my continued thanks to the mayor and city council, all of our dedicated City of Asheville employees, our other partners in the county, state, and federal government, as well as our private and nonprofit partners who continue to work diligently to help our community recover. We know we have a ways to go, but we are making steady progress. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Lily.
Next, we'll hear from John Mills with FEMA for an update on disaster assistance in Buncombe County. John?
Thank you. Good morning. I'm John Mills with FEMA. We are committed to long-term recovery here in Western North Carolina. FEMA is working with each household, every survivor on a case-by-case basis. You know, everyone went through Helene together, but everyone's exact situation is unique, especially those families and individuals who've been hit hardest by loss. Some numbers as of today, November 4th, across Western North Carolina, FEMA has approved 124,000 households for disaster assistance. This includes more than 49,000 households here in Buncombe County. These families have already received money from FEMA to jumpstart their recovery. We have provided so far $209 million from our individual assistance program directly to survivors across Western North Carolina, and that includes $71 million here in Buncombe County to help survivors jumpstart their recovery. That money is helping survivors pay for some serious needs, pay for home repairs, and some other serious needs such as replacing personal property and making home repairs. In addition to that, right now, about 4,000 households are staying in hotels in FEMA's Transitional Sheltering Assistance Program. That includes hundreds of families from here in Buncombe County. FEMA pays those hotels directly, and we're committed to working with survivors who have significant needs, in particular, people whose homes have been destroyed or have serious damage. I want to show you the updates on disaster recovery centers right now in Buncombe County. The location at Cane Creek Pool in the parking lot is still open from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m., 7 days a week until further notice. Cane Creek Pool in the parking lot is at 590 Lower Brush Creek Road in Fairview. That's one of 2 disaster recovery centers open now in Buncombe County. Please visit us. A mobile disaster recovery center is open right now at Swannanoa Fire Rescue at the Bee Tree Fire Substation. That's at 510 Bee Tree Road in Swannanoa from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. today and tomorrow, November 5th. Then, beginning November 6th, this recovery center will relocate to Buncombe County Sports Park in the parking lot at 58 APAC Drive in Asheville, and will be open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. from November 6th through November 9th. That recovery center returns to Swannanoa November 11th to the 14th, then moves back to Buncombe County Sports Park November 15th to the 18th. And I just want to note the movement of that disaster recovery center will not change the locally run community care station at Buncombe County Sports Park. And then just finally, we have 23 disaster recovery centers open right now across Western North Carolina. You may have relocated temporarily because of the disaster. You can visit any recovery center no matter where you are living now. So you can see the link on your screen. You can visit FEMA.gov/DRC for all of the locations in North Carolina, and you're welcome to visit any location that's convenient to you. Also, please stay in touch with FEMA about your needs. The fastest way to apply for assistance or stay in touch with FEMA is at our website, disasterassistance.gov. That's disasterassistance.gov, or by using the FEMA app. Of course, you can visit us in person at one of the disaster recovery centers. You can also call us at 800-621-3362. But again, the fastest way is online or at one of the disaster recovery centers. FEMA is just part of one large team in North Carolina, and that's why we also make referrals to charities, nonprofits, and faith-based organizations that are making a big difference in people's lives. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, John. And he's going to stick around in case there are questions for him at the end. And finally, a little bit of sunshine on this cloudy day. We have Dave Alberg with the National Park Service to give us an update.
Good morning. Happy to be here. And again, thank you very much for the opportunity to present at today's Buncombe County briefing. My name is David Alberg, and I'm here representing the National Park Service as a member of the Park Service Incident Management Team assigned to assist the Parkway with recovery and stabilization efforts. I'm pleased to provide a Parkway update today. I'm sure that this has been, we provided one about a week and a half ago, but hopefully we've got some good news to share with everybody today. Since our last update on October 23rd, NPS crews have been working hard to continue damage assessments and reopen sections of the Blue Ridge Parkway as possible. As you may know, the Blue Ridge Parkway is 469 miles long, stretching from Virginia to North Carolina and across 29 counties. The Parkway has mileposts that start at 0 near Shenandoah and end at milepost 469 near the Smokies. To date, here's a recap of the Parkway mileage that is open to the public. In Virginia, mile markers 0 to 217 is now open. This represents 100% of the parkway in Virginia and extends just inside the North Carolina state line to Route 18. All visitors must exit the parkway at Route 18 to detour around closed areas of the parkway south of that. Closures south of Route 18 include some areas that were already closed due to road construction projects. In North Carolina, the next section of the parkway that is open is the Boone and Blowing Rock area and is located between milepost 285.5 at Bamboo Gap and milepost 305 at US Highway 221 at Beacon Heights. Again, areas south of Beacon Gap are closed. Moving to a location south of Asheville, the parkway recently opened the following sections: from milepost 405.5 at Elk Pasture Gap, North Carolina 151, near Mount Pisgah, south to milepost 420.2, Forest Service Road 816 at Black Balsam. This includes access to the Black Balsam, to the Mount Pisgah and Graveyard Fields, Looking Glass Rock area trails. The Devil's Courthouse area is closed due to significant road damage to the parkway. This closure includes bicycle and pedestrian use. In addition, last week, the parkway reopened significant mileage from milepost 423.2 at Beach Gap, State Route 215, south to the Great Smoky Mountains at milepost 469.1. This open area includes the Water Rock Knob Visitor Center and nearby trails. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we are targeting opening a section of the Asheville corridor this week. This section of parkway that will open within a few days is from US Route 70, Tunnel Road intersection at milepost 482.5, south to State Route 191, Brevard Road at milepost 393.6, near the French Broad River and the North Carolina Arboretum. We have been working on this section now for over a month with large numbers of damaged trees, vast amounts of tree debris on the roadway, and ongoing use of heavy equipment by numerous teams, including Park Service and contractors, simultaneously working throughout the corridor. The section of the parkway opening later this week will allow access onto and off the parkway from the following roads: US Route 70 Tunnel Road, US Route 74, US Route 25 Hendersonville Road, and State Route 191 Brevard Road. In the days and weeks after the Asheville Corridor Parkway is reopened, additional visitor centers will begin to be restored, including the main Park Visitor Center located just north of US Route 74 and the popular Folk Art Center located just north of Tunnel Road. Specific hours of operation and exact opening dates for these two destinations will be available on the park's website soon. As with many other locations in our area, the damage to the parkway in North Carolina was significant. In addition to tens of thousands of trees on the roadway itself, there was approximately 30 landslides, which includes 10 acres with total loss of one or more lanes of the roadway, which necessitates lengthy closures and construction. Work over the last month has involved the clearing of tens of thousands of trees from the roadway itself and mitigation of significant roadside hazards and placement over 250 safety barricades to keep all parkway users aware of these dangerous areas. With this week's roadway reopening, it brings the total mileage open to the parkway to approximately 311 miles of the 469 miles of total length. We are pleased to be able to restore these critical sections of the roadway, but much work remains. We do not yet have projected opening dates for the remaining 150 miles of the parkway due to the complex excavation, evaluations, and repair work that must be planned and implemented. And in some cases, remaining sections of the roadway may be closed for a significant period of time. In addition, significant debris removal, tree work, and trail work remains. For safety purposes, the park asks people to be patient and respect all remaining closures at NPS damage assessment and cleanup work as that work continues over the next few weeks and months. The parkway also asks visitors to refrain from parking along the roadside in any other location other than a paved official parking lot. Many closed areas remain unsafe due to hidden hazards such as weakened portions of the roadway, snags, hazard trees, and unstable slopes. Unauthorized use here also hinders work crews. The Park Service is working to ensure that the areas can reopen as soon as possible and as soon as it is safe to do so. But no volunteer work is authorized either in open or closed areas at this time. Updates are posted regularly on the Parkway website and social media channels at the address at Blue Ridge NPS, and we look forward to providing additional updates in the coming weeks. If there are questions, the point of contact I would direct you to is the External Affairs Specialist. Her name is Lisa Brandon. She can be reached at, and Lisa is LEESA _ Brandon, BRANDON at nps.gov. And her phone number is to the office 828-348-3420. And with that, again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. And we are happy that we are giving the Parkway back to the people of Asheville. Thank you.
That's really exciting news. And I know my fellow outdoors enthusiasts and motorcyclists are going to be taking advantage of that opportunity very soon. So thanks for that, Dave. At this point, we have about 15 minutes for questions. I know our elections director needs to get out the door to more meetings, but we'll turn it over to members of our media who are on a Zoom call who may have questions at this time, or they can enter those in the chat for Angelica to share with us.
Yeah, hi, Gracie Matisse. Hi, how's it going? Karina, I have a question just about the specific numbers in Black Mountain and Swannanoa early voting.
I will say I saw the early voting line at Black Mountain Library when I was on my way to the farmer's market Saturday, and it was impressive.
Yes, all of the turnout was impressive. So for on our website, there is statistics for early voting, and those are split out by site. For Black Mountain, I feel like we have a site that we can call the Black Mountain site. That's the Black Mountain Branch Library. We had 10,180 voters at that site. I don't feel
How
like
are those numbers compared to kind of the rest of the areas? Just looking at Swannanoa and Black Mountain, how they were hit harder by Helene. Are those numbers similar, or are those seem to be lower than maybe areas that weren't necessarily hit as hard?
They're in the middle, so I don't see them being lower. It's kind of difficult for me to do on the fly analysis. In 2020, the overall turnout at the Black Mountain Library was 6,608. So 10,000 is a lot more than that.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was just wondering if you had seen anything specific there, so that answered my question. Appreciate it. I'm going to put another question in the chat, guys. Also, just so you know, I got to get to a noon meeting, but that's for Clay. So
before you go, do we have additional questions for Corrine from media? All right, let's gear off the hook. All right, next question.
Lillian, that's John Boyle with Asheville Watchdog. I have some questions for Clay.
He had gotten up the second you started talking, so he kind of knew.
Okay.
Morning, John.
Hey, Clay. Hey, a couple questions on the Corps of Engineers equipment, and this will sound kind of ignorant, but is this equipment that's specifically designed to address turbidity and turbidity alone?
Turbidity is one of the things they can address for our purposes. Yeah, they will be specifically designed to take water out of the reservoir, get the turbidity down to 1.5, 2, what it normally is, and then plug it right into our treatment systems. And
two things. Did this start? When did they start on this? Is it Thursday that they started?
So the planning part of this started October the 1st. I think I mentioned that. And the way the Corps of Engineers works, before they can start taking action, so to speak, they have to receive a mission, either from like the Department of Defense or FEMA, And in this instance, they received their permission to proceed with this project Wednesday night of last week,
Okay.
late Wednesday night last week.
And then two-parter, can you, without getting crazy technical, can you tell us how their system works and how that varies from the city system? And then will y'all be able to keep this equipment on site permanently?
So the way this works is it will have, their system will have what's called sedimentation plates. And to simplify, that will basically remove not 100%, but pretty close to 100% of the sediment that's in the water, which is what's causing it to be turbid right now. And I mean, I know you've heard me mention our filter upgrade wish list for North Fork and Bee Tree. Essentially, if we were to, get that project funded, the technology that we would be using at that point is the same technology that the Corps of Engineers will use with their system. Second part of your question, we would absolutely love to keep this Corps of Engineers system in place until those filter upgrades are made. And if it's up to us, we will. It's not completely up to us though, but we're going to make that case.
Okay. And I've got a couple other questions, but I'll let other people go. I'll put them in the chat.
Hey, Clay, it's Laura from BPR.
Morning, Laura.
The turbidity level dropping below 19. You're saying that's, you all are happy with that progress. That's still a long way from where we need to be. And it's also only, one or two, we'll call them points, because I know they're called something else, NTUs, from where we were before. So can you talk about the speed of that process and what you anticipate that, were you looking at this dropping significantly, or we think that's the effect of that treatment?
Right. So at the end of the day, yesterday, the turbidity was 19.7 on the results that we have posted on the website. Now, I know that sounds high, but the way that reading works is we record the max turbidity level for a 24-hour period, which means from Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon, the max turbidity in the reservoir was 19.7. This morning, it was around 18.5. And so that's a 1.5 drop in, 36 hours. That is definitely faster than it has been. And again, it could have been the light rainfall we got last week that we thought would be helpful. It could be the curtains. It could be a combination of both. But whatever the reason is, the rate of drop in the turbidity has picked up in the last 5 to 6 days.
And you talked about last week about the time frame for the aluminum sulfate, a third treatment. And I believe you said this morning that would not happen until next week. Is that you?
Yeah, early. We're going to give this a few more days to do its thing. In between that and getting the contractor lined back up, we think by Monday, maybe Tuesday next week, we'll be applicating a third time.
Okay. And then with the temporary filter that the Army Corps is building, you have North Fork operating at about 10 million, you said, and then this temporary filter is going to get it down to 1.5 to 2. Are there concerns because you're already kind of putting pressure on the system by putting raw water into it when previously that was thought that might damage the system, that adding that additional amount would be problematic?
I mean, with a project as technically complex as this one, it's probably fair to say we're concerned about everything. We've been concerned about pretty much everything under the sun since September the 27th. But the way this has been presented to us by the Army Corps of Engineers, they're pretty confident it'll work, and so are we.
A question for Clay. This is Ames Alexander with the Charlotte Observer. I just wanted to make sure I understood, Clay. Do you have an estimate on the latest date the boil water notice will be lifted? I know you're going down two paths here, but I'm wondering if you have like an outside date in mind.
We don't.
water question from the chat for Clay. How much does the temporary filtration system with the Army Corps of Engineers cost? And how much do treatment rounds cost? Where is that money coming from?
So the Corps of Engineers system, that project is going to be paid for by FEMA, and I would much rather that figure come from them.
Just an update on that. I know we have a FEMA rep in the room, but we're not ready to answer that question right now. So we'll follow up via email with the individual who asked that question.
And one more from the chat from John Boyle regarding the ongoing boil water notice. He's had several people ask what the actual purpose is, as the superchlorination should kill microorganism. So people kind of feel like they're heating up clay and sediment in the water. What does the boiling water actually do?
So that's to eliminate any bacteria that may be in the water by the time it reaches your tap. Yeah, that's a good question. Boiling your water is going to kill bacteria. It's not going to, reduce the level of things like chlorine, aluminum, iron, and manganese. It's specifically designed to kill things like E. coli and coliform. None of which we've had a positive for in the distribution system, by the way, since we've been testing.
Clay, quick follow on that then. Is it okay for people to drink that boiled water with those discoloration and high mineral count?
That is, so we are presenting every bit of information that we have. And if somebody is comfortable boiling the water and consuming it, that's certainly up to them. But yeah, bottled water for consumption or water from an alternate source for consumption is recommended if it's available. If it's not available, there's just no way under the sun that somebody can get their hands on purified water. They can boil it for a minimum of 1 minute beforehand before any kind of consumption.
I got one more for you if no one else has a question. I've had some chatter on people asking about the way the Corps of Engineer information came out. I believe Maggie Ullman issued a video on Friday. If it started Thursday, how come you didn't mention it Thursday?
I found out about it. It became viable Wednesday night and made its way down to me after the briefing on Thursday.
No need for a press release on
that? We didn't have a community briefing until today. There was no immediate deadline for any kind of action or anything like that. So we felt comfortable waiting until today to detail it.
All right. Thank you.
Right, to that point, this is Laura again. My understanding from reading the Independent Review Committee suggestions after the Christmas outage was that one of the recommendations was not having specificity of a timeline. So did this release of information run counter to that recommendation?
No, this timeline was provided to us by the Corps of Engineers. This is not a water resources timeline. And again, it is subject to variables completely outside of our control, weather being chief among them.
All right, before we let our friends from FEMA and National Park Service go, just want to double check there are no questions for either of them or Jess with the City of Asheville Solid Waste.
Well, I have one for Jess.
Okay.
Probably for Jess.
Okay. Why don't you ask your question and we'll
Yeah, that's a good idea. I just had, again, several people ask me, debris is a very hot topic, as you know, wondering about what the perceived slowness is with it, because a lot of things, especially in the River Arch, have really piled up, and wondering if there will be subcontractors from the main contractor, and if so, I know she mentioned the number of trucks on the roads, that sort of thing. If there's an ultimate goal in mind for that.
Yeah, so it will not feel like trash service. The expectation that we are going to say we'll be there on Tuesday, we'll collect all your debris and it will be gone. That is not anything that we could even, dream of communicating out. We're talking about people's entire homes, their cars, their businesses. There was a tanker that I saw in my neighborhood, and I don't know where it came from or how it ended up in someone's yard, but it's going to take really specialized equipment to get this. And so, like County Manager Avril Pender said, we have to understand that this is going to be a long-term process for debris collection. And in the county, especially, we are focusing on those key areas like Swannanoa, like Barnardsville, like the south part of the county that received a lot of debris so that we can start working on those. So it is going to be a long process. I know that it feels slow, but when you look at 50,000 cubic yards of debris that's been collected already, that doesn't feel slow on our end because that's a really massive project. And I know just my experience driving from Swannanoa to work every day, it is lots of dump trucks and my little car in between all of the dump trucks that are moving all of this debris in real time. And so it is happening, and it is happening from sun up to sundown.
How about that part about will they farm some of this out to additional subcontractors?
Absolutely, yes. And they already have.
Any timetable or numbers on that?
All of those numbers are in the numbers that I shared with you on that 50,000 cubic centimeters or cubic meters, not cubic yards. Cubic yards, cubic centimeter. Yeah, I've never been one for being good at numbers.
That's going to be the headline right there, Lily. 50,000.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for your help.
1,000 cubic yards. Each cubic yard is equivalent to about a full-size mattress. That's a lot of yards.
Gotcha.
All right. So with that, we will wrap things up for today. Again, no community briefing on Tuesday. We are going to be all elections all the time. So Corrine will be back multiple times throughout the day tomorrow to provide updates to our community about where we are on election day. And then as those results start to come in unofficially tomorrow night, we will be back for a community briefing on Wednesday at 11 a.m. right here. We'll have our next curtain update and turbidity update. And of course, you can find all of these resources at buncomready.org, or you can call our call center at 828-250-6100. And you can also sign up for our alerts by texting BC Alert to 99411. So we'll see you back here on Wednesday at 11.